the history of mankind that we're setting ourselves the task of intentionally, within a defined period of time, to change the economic development model that has been reigning for at least 150 years since the Industrial Revolution. This lady has declared war on the West, actually just on the world, because the whole economic system of the entire world is related in one way or another to free enterprise and capitalism. She's sworn to destroy everything that we know and love. Our entire way of life is up in the air right now. And if she becomes the head of the United Nations, you know where this is going. They have a timetable. They're doing it intentionally, and they mean business. And they have, so far, 192 nations of the world signed up for this program. So yeah, it's like okay, this is a Tower of Babel like we've never seen in history, almost, where everybody is rushing to the same, to the same goal.
I think part of the difference, though, with this particular Tower of Babel is, there was some implication with respects to the Tower of Babel that was being built in biblical times. They were trying to attain heaven. There isn't a clear representation as to whether or not they were attempting to overthrow God or overthrow heaven, but there was certainly an implication that they were trying to attain heaven. This group of individuals, for all intents and purposes, does not seem to be having a desire to obtain heaven. They have a desire actually to do away with that kind of thought process.
Well, there's two sides of this. There's technocracy and the economic system that wants to control society like a scientific dictatorship. In parallel with this, however, there's the whole movement of transhumanism, which is a transformation of individuals, of people. Countries, nations, and economic systems don't go to heaven. There's no concept of God for them or redemption. But for people, there is. The transhuman movement has just gone wild in the last 10 years all around the world, where people are now setting their sights, thanks to technology, they're setting their sights on immortality. They're setting their sights on omniscience and omnipotence and omnipresence, where they can travel anywhere electronically. There is definitely this movement within this idea within the transhuman movement that they will become gods in their own right. And what's interesting, when you line up the Tower of Babel, original Tower of Babel, somebody said, Nimrod said, we can storm the gates of heaven. And my guess is people said, are you crazy? How are we going to do that? Look at these little mud huts we live in. We built out of rocks and mortar. Why, you lean on them the wrong way, they fall over. Well, technology was introduced. If you read the passage carefully, new technology was introduced that changed their mind, said, wow, maybe we can do this. And the technology was, let's cut square blocks and glue them together with tar. Well, that's earthquake proof, and you can build quite a tall tower with, square cut rocks and tar. Yeah. Well, I think, that was a deception, and they all bought into it and says, man, we can do this. Let's get going. And you see, the entire transhuman movement over the last couple of hundred years has been purely metaphysical. They sit in rooms and just dream about it, and maybe they chant or meditate or something, but there was no substance until science began to develop and give them new things that said, wow, look at this genetic modification stuff, what we could do with this. Right. Look at this, the advances in computers, and, they're talking about, putting little what do they call it, nanobots and stuff in your bloodstream to heal you of diseases. And, all this technology is like ganging up on them, and they think now, wow, with what we have, the tools we have now, we can finally conquer death. We can finally conquer all the limitations of mankind and do whatever the heck we want to do. Now, that is a God complex. and it's in perfect
Yeah.
line with what you have with the Tower of Babel. But the language, however, is different. If you look at transhumanism and what's driving it within the scientific community, you have this so-called convergence of sciences together, this bonding with computers and data processing and stuff as well. And if you look at the whole thing, the common language today is ones and zeros. It's computer code. You know, it's like every scientist in the world speaks computerese. And when they get together and, you know, they start talking about this stuff in a room, it doesn't matter what country you come from. You lay out the schematics, you lay out the programs and the, you know, the code and the algorithms and stuff. They can all talk and just have a great deep conversation about what they're doing without even understanding the social impact of it. But it's like again, a one world language. But it's
Sure.
a digital language, not a spoken language. It's digital language is exercised by these scientists and engineers. It's quite an incredible process to watch. You know, these people think they think they're going to achieve immortality. Now, you and I know they have a problem with somebody else with that, because the Bible said, I think once upon a time, it said it's appointed for man once to die,
Yeah.
and then comes judgment.
There you go.
So, you know, so they're going to, they have a few other obstacles to overcome here. They're really
Yeah.
going to do
Well,
it.
they're
I don't
they're
think
gonna,
they ever
yeah.
will, but
No,
you get my point.
but